Hello and welcome to the News at 7, where we get to the heart of the day's stories and communities across Scotland. Tonight, a slight rise in our energy bills as people continue to struggle.
I used to put in like £30 every 2 weeks, and that doesn't even do a week anymore.
We'll speak to Energy Action Scotland about the increase. Also tonight, a crackdown on shoplifting in Glasgow.
We went, engaged with the male, turned out it was him we're looking for, and he's subsequently been arrested. He's going to be conveyed back to custody.
And we'll have all the sport with Sheila. Sheila, what's coming up tonight?
Well, Hala, we'll hear from Scotland head coach Gregor Townsend, who responds to critics following last week's collapse against Argentina.
And the theatre group set up for children with Down syndrome, getting ready to perform in front of thousands this weekend. Hello, I'm Hala Mohieddin. Welcome to the News at 7. Well, it will be unwelcome news for households across Scotland, but energy prices are to go up again. From January, the cap on the cost of gas and electricity will rise by 0.2%. It means, on average, bills will rise by £3 a year. And while that might not seem a lot to some, it comes at a time when the average energy bill is close to £1,800 a year. All this comes as parts of Scotland prepare for another freezing night. So what help is out there? Well, one project in Aberdeen helps people make low-cost meals and use their facilities to cook. We spoke to Melissa, one of those making use of this service.
Right now, I'm a single mum on benefits just now. So I've had to go as like pay-as-you-go, so like a smart meter to top up to see what I'm using. But yeah, it's like electricity is just sky high. I used to put in like £30 every 2 weeks, and that doesn't even do a week anymore. It's just going so far. But they like to, if I run out of money, they switch everything off. Like my gas, this is the worst one, is if I run out of money on my gas, they switch it off, and then I've got to put it back on, but my hot water doesn't go back on until an hour. So I've got to request it on the smart meter, so it takes ages so I've had a couple of hours with no hot water. I understand why my mum told me to turn the lights off when I was younger. I'm like, oh, because my son does it, and I'm like, switch the bathroom light off.
Well, the organisation Energy Action Scotland campaigns to end fuel poverty. I spoke to their CEO, Fraser Scott, about the rise.
Well, I think on the surface you'd look at that and go, 0.2%, there's nothing to see here. But actually, when you look below the detail, the reason it is that number is there are some winners and losers in this space. You know, there's a 6% reduction on the unit cost of gas. So if you've got gas as your heating system over the coming period through till the end of March, there is a reduction on those unit charges. Unfortunately, if you've got electricity as your heating source, it's gone up 5%. So people will feel this in a different way. And on top of that, both those things have standing charge increases, which disproportionately affects people on the lowest incomes, because standing charges are one of the most significant parts of their energy bill. It's unavoidable, and for some people they're paying £1 a day.
OK, well, just on that, I mean, how difficult would you say it is for families right now?
The cost of living crisis simply hasn't gone away. People are simply unable to afford to heat their homes to the adequate standard that's necessary to protect their health and their well-being. We hear that every single day. People who are never ever warm in their home. Something like nearly 1 in 5 households in Scotland would say they're never ever warm. Living in really cold, damp conditions, unable to pay their bills. And it isn't the only part of their life that's like this. So it's incredibly difficult times.
And I mean, it's difficult, particularly right now, because it is so cold out there at the moment. Do you think there's any sign that the energy prices will come down in future? Is there something to look ahead to?
Well, I think it's very difficult to comment on. I think, you know, crystal ball gazing is only going to take you so far. I think most of us can only look as far as about a year, and there is simply no sign that in the next year anything is fundamentally going to shift unless government changes its policy. So if government were to introduce, for example, a social tariff or a social discount to substantially reduce the cost for the lowest income households in the land, then that would make a real difference. That could take hundreds of thousands of households in Scotland out of fuel poverty into a far better position.
People are worried about debt as well, not just about the price of heating their homes. This isn't going to help them at all. If you're concerned about fuel poverty, about debt, about the cost of paying your bills, I mean, is there anything that you can advise our viewers to do?
Well, the one thing that people should do is not ignore the situation. They should speak to their energy supplier if they're in debt to their energy supplier. They won't be able to help you unless they know that you've got difficulty. But if you find that a challenge, there are plenty of energy support mechanisms out there. There are charities and not-for-profits out there who can support you, to help you understand the landscape better, to help you deal with your bills and your debt. It's important that people look for solutions, but I just do believe there are many, many people out there who simply have unrepayable debt. We should not expect them to be able to repay that debt because their incomes are certainly not high enough. And how could they pay back debt when they couldn't afford it in the first place and they've built it?
That was Fraser Scott speaking to us earlier today. Thank you for joining us on tonight's News at 7. We've got lots more in the programme, including trouble at Celtic as the board suspends their annual meeting after shareholders call for them to be sacked.
It got down to almost minus 13 degrees last night, the coldest November night since 2010. But the cold snap is about to end. I'll have all the details later in the programme.
Now, the run-up to Christmas will see shop tills ringing, but for retailers, it also brings a spike in one of their biggest problems, shoplifting. Levels of retail crime across Scotland have more than doubled over the last 4 years. Part of the response has been so-called days of action in our biggest cities, where police and retailers work together to target prolific offenders. Glasgow held its 5th of the year yesterday. Our reporter Stephen Godden witnessed what happened.
Inside the St Enoch shopping centre, a police sergeant keeps tabs on colleagues from a makeshift control room.
We've got a description of 2 females in the mid-20s wearing puffer jackets, black in colour, black leggings, if you can go there.
Outside, 40 officers are patrolling Glasgow's main shopping district as part of a day of action aimed at tackling retail crime. Jonathan Waters is the community inspector for the city centre.
So it starts with the reassurance aspect, where we're on high visibility patrol up and down the main streets of Glasgow, and we're there as that visible deterrent. But we also do have plainclothes officers as well that are working, and we're looking to target the most prolific offenders.
It isn't long before the operation starts to see results. A suspected shoplifter is stopped in the street before being taken to a nearby police van for questioning.
We've seen a male been looking for a high value shoplifting for the past couple of weeks. We went, engaged with the male, turned out it was him we're looking for, and he's subsequently been arrested. He's going to be conveyed back to custody.
Well, earlier I spoke to Stephanie Cartay from Retailers Against Crime.
There's no reason, a particular reason that you can pinpoint or point your finger to. There is very many factors of why shoplifting has escalated as much as what it has. Now, this could be down to very many factors, whereas, it's just, there's more, shoplifters wanting to go out at this moment in time. However, what we're finding is that there seems to be no consequences for these actions. So, when it used to be shoplifters, they would get arrested and possibly even put to prison. That doesn't seem to be happening at the moment.
And what are the main concerns of the retailers that you're working with?
Well, really at the end of the day, what the retailers are looking to do is just have a normal working day. However, in retail, especially at this moment in time, that's not really happening for them. They get various different thefts on daily, and a lot of these thefts involve abuse or even violence sometimes.
And how is that affecting your members, if it's not just the financial bottom line they're looking at, but also abuse that they're dealing with? How's that affecting them?
Well, how would it affect anybody? I mean, it doesn't matter what you are, you're a retailer. Violence or abuse shouldn't be part of the job. But unfortunately in retail at this moment in time, it seems to be a daily part of the job.
Now, there was a day of action yesterday. Are your members seeing that as a positive step, or do they think that there needs to be more happening to help with this problem?
Well, there needs to be more happening in order to tackle this problem. There is various dents being made in order to tackle this problem. However, the days of action, this started at Retailers Against Crime, and we have an information sharing agreement with Police Scotland, and they are partners of ours, and we're key partners of theirs. And we work together on one day in order to come together with the retailers and go back to days where there was a lot more police on the ground in order to help the retailers with the retail crime.
And do you feel that the situation is only going to get worse if we're not going to see more of a coordinated effort to tackle it?
Well, this is what we're seeing already, really, isn't it? It's the pattern. You can see that obviously the figures are rising and it's not getting any better year on year. So what we really need to do is to start working together. This problem doesn't lie at anybody's doorstep. It lies in very many doorsteps, because at the end of the day, we all need to work together in order to tackle this problem. The retailers have to report more incidents. The police, there is more on the ground due to the Retail Crime Task Force. And obviously we, as a retail crime partnership, are circulating information as well in order to help the retailers look out and what they need to look out for, and also to keep them and even their customers safe.
OK, Stephanie Carty there joining us from Retailers Against Crime. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Let's get a roundup now of the stories making the BBC News app in Scotland. And Eastern Bartonshire Council is facing damages claims following a carbon monoxide leak at one of its schools in 2020. Parents at Balmuldy Primary School say they're worried about the long-term impact on kids. Now, police are warning of frost-jacking after 3 vehicles were stolen in Fife. The cars were left unattended with the engines running, but 2 of those cars were recovered shortly afterwards. And Fife Council has launched an investigation after a boy went missing from a primary school and was found in a nearby park. That happened at Pittencrieff Primary School in Dunfermline on Wednesday. And for more information on all of those stories, just scan that QR code on the screen right now. It'll take you to the BBC Scotland News app, where there's much more for you there, including an interview with Michael Caton-Jones, the Scottish director who grew up on a council estate and made it big in Hollywood. Now, Celtic's annual general meeting had to be abandoned earlier today as shareholders protested against the club's board. The loudest jeers came as director Ross Desmond accused some of the fans of being bullies. Well, he was reading out a statement on behalf of himself and his father Dermot, who's the club's largest shareholder. In a statement afterwards, the club called the behaviour completely unacceptable. Well, this is what fans had to say outside Celtic Park earlier.
I think the board would want to make their feelings clear, but equally, I think the fans wanted to make their feelings clear.
I really don't believe that they're serving the best interest of the club or the fans, and I was hoping they would be able to get to a stage where we could ask their questions and get them to explain some of their actions. But I understand people getting frustrated and angry. I was as well, but it was never going to happen. It was never going to get to the end, and that's what disappointed me, you know.
It was shambolic, I think is the word I would use, but I think the PLC board and the chairman got exactly what they came for today.
Well, the BBC wasn't invited to that AGM, but BBC Scotland's Kenny Crawford spoke to the Daily Mail's football writer John McGarry about what happened.
I think we were all anticipating quite a rowdy meeting given recent events, but nothing quite like that. I would say the majority of people in the room were booing the directors onto the stage. Perhaps maybe 100 or so were flashing red cards. But I didn't detect anybody that was there supporting the board. I mean, the feeling in the room was pretty strong. And within quite a few minutes, you realise that this was not going to be a normal meeting. It wasn't a huge surprise that it didn't get concluded. I mean, none of the resolutions that were on the agenda were tackled on the day.
It sounds from the fans that we've spoken to that address by Ross Desmond was just something they couldn't cope with hearing.
This was extraordinary. I mean, it really was. Him speaking on behalf of his father, saying that there was no way they were backing down and they would not kind of meet the fans halfway on this. I mean, he was really strong in his words, and I don't think anyone who was there felt as if there was any sort of compromise in terms of the various issues that have divided the club so much over the last few months.
Do you think there's any coming back from this in terms of getting the club back together anytime soon?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously Martin O'Neill was here today, the interim manager. He was applauded onto stage. He's going to be here for certainly the next few games, but I don't think even his presence now can kind of placate people. I mean, it's a very divided club. The majority of fans are now sort of looking beyond that towards the fact that there was £77 million sitting in the bank. They don't look upon Celtic as a well-run club in the same way that the directors do. That's really the crux of the matter here, and I don't think that's going to go away anymore as a non-stop soap opera, as we know, and people are really passionately engaged with it.
Still to come, we've got the weather with Christopher, and we'll hear from the Children's Theatre Group opening for Callum Beattie. First, though, it's the sport with Sheila McLaren.
Hello there. Let's start with rugby tonight. And Gregor Townsend says he still has the appetite to lead Scotland amid growing pressure after last weekend's frustrating collapse at home to Argentina in the autumn test at Murrayfield. Scotland led the Pumas 21-0 in the second half before the visitors launched a stunning comeback to win the game 33-24. Townsend's side host Tonga on Sunday, but in his media conference today, the head coach told BBC Scotland's chief sports writer Tom English that he had faith in his players and insisted fans have seen some outstanding rugby despite back-to-back defeats.
We reflect on what we could have done better. I reflect on what I could have done better during the game, during the week. Not getting the best of the players. When we look at the final 25 minutes, of course, that's what we have to address. And it's been a big week of meetings, honesty, a real deep dive on how we could be better in that final 20-25 minutes. But I do believe we've seen the best of the players throughout this campaign up until the last 25 minutes.
This team routinely has meltdowns, not just Sunday, not
I would
just
disagree.
the previous week.
I wouldn't say routinely.
Well, it's when you look over the course of it. Then meltdown at the World Cup against Ireland. 3 of the last 4 seasons in the Six Nations, 2 wins out of 5. It's not good enough, is it?
No, and look, the last 20 minutes wasn't good enough either. But we can always look at the games we didn't play as well. Of course we can, and get defeats. But the performance levels have been at a high level now over the last few weeks.
We all feel that this team has got big wins in it.
Yeah.
But now I think they're hitting a wall. I'm just wondering whether you might accept that maybe 8 years is possibly long enough.
That's your opinion, Tom. I would say I've seen the team play the best rugby it's played in the 8 years over the last 2 or 3 weeks. We sensed the disappointment in the crowd. Like the crowd, it was like an exhale of disappointment. We all felt it, like what a flat end to the game. And nobody's hurting it as much as us as a group. Do I feel there should be a review? Again, you'd have to ask someone else. My focus is on how we can review each game, how we can review each campaign, and how we can get better and deliver performances our supporters are going to be proud of.
Football now, and Hearts boss Derek McInnes hopes the whole of Scottish football can benefit from the trickle effect of World Cup qualification as he prepares to take his table-topping side to Aberdeen.
Brilliant moment for him when he came in today. We had a wee round of applause at the team meeting this morning. Along with Kabore getting a hat-trick as well when he's away with his country. So obviously the boys are in strong and having the best season possible, and then try to cement their place in the squad now.
Well, Rangers boss Danny Rule is counting the cost of the international break with at least 4 players facing spells out injured. John Souttar was injured in the Scotland warm-up ahead of Tuesday's win over Denmark, while fellow centre-half Derek Cornelius went off during Canada's match with Venezuela. They're set to be out until the new year, along with Mikey Moore, who picked up a knock playing for England's under-19s. Bailey Rice is also undergoing surgery, but Rule insists this provides an opportunity for others.
I had some good conversations the last couple of days with some other players. I think it's now also an opportunity to step up. sometimes in this moment some players surprise you and show. I think it was good to had a good group last week and this week then together. We trained well. It is what it is. It's about solutions, and hopefully we have tomorrow a good solution.
And that's all the sport this evening.
Thanks very much indeed, Sheila. Now, this weekend we'll see Scottish singer-songwriter Callum Beattie play the biggest show of his life when he headlines at the OVO Hydro. He started off as a busker on the streets of Edinburgh, and 18 years of hard graft have led him to Scotland's biggest venue. He says it's a special moment he's waited his whole life for.
Does the scale of it and the enormity of it always get into your head?
Always getting into your head, but in a good way. You've just become emotional. That's something that I need to watch because I'm a highly emotional person. So, I'm going to cry on the stage. I know that anyway because I know what I'm like. But as you say, once you get on, it's just about putting on a show and being yourself and hoping people are having as much fun as you are.
Well, ready to bring the fun is Hamilton-based theatre group Ups and Downs, set up for young people with Down syndrome who have a talent and love for music. Tomorrow night they're swapping their rehearsal hall for the Hydro stage. Well, they'll be supporting Callum, who's one of their patrons. Our reporter Caitlin Hutchinson went along to one of their last rehearsals where the excitement was palpable.
In full voice and high spirits, squeezing in a last-minute rehearsal before showtime. Did you ever imagine that you'd be playing the OVO Hydro?
No, to be honest, no.
It's nuts, isn't it? What's your favourite song that you guys do?
Any song.
Are you a big Callum Beattie fan?
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to be like to play a stage like that? You've been practising a lot, you're sounding fantastic, but are you a little bit nervous perhaps?
Yeah, but it's going to be absolutely mind-blowing to do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excited?
Yeah.
Nervous?
Yeah.
Have you been practising loads?
Yeah.
Are you going to rock the stage?
Yeah.
The Ups and Downs Theatre Group is a parent-led group dedicated to young people with Down syndrome and their families.
30 years we've been going for, and we have achieved a lot, but this year has been outstanding. So to be opening for Callum at the Hydro is absolutely bonkers.
I think we'll be awesome. I think we'll go out and please the crowd. I'm more thinking, so we've never been on the stage before. Where are all the exits? How big's the stage? Where are we going to have to stand? So that's a few things that we'll iron out first tomorrow.
Excitement was well and truly coming through in that little sneak peek of a performance that I saw there.
Yeah.
Tell me something that the public might not realise about the talent of this group.
I think it's one of these things that a lot of people who come to see the show, what they experience with our cast on stage blows their mind, because what they're capable of, the songs, whether they're verbal, whether they're non-verbal, the energy they can put out and the joy they can give the audience is tangible. It's an amazing experience to witness what the Ups and Downs, the magic that they can bring.
With less than 24 hours to go, the cast are soaking up every moment, leaning on the bonds that make this group so special.
It's like an Ups and Downs family, and I just love every single bit of it. It's absolutely amazing.
I've been here for 5 years, and Dad is just amazing.
Tegan loves a sing song, don't you? Yeah, I do. They're like family, aren't they?
Yes, it
Yep.
is.
I feel so lucky to be a part of this group and get to do all the amazing things that we get to do.
It will be a very special day tomorrow.
Now, we were bopping along in the studio to that. Time now for the weather with Christopher Blanchette. What's happening, Christopher?
It's been so cold, hasn't it? But there will be a thaw as we head into next week. So if you're not a fan of the cold and the snow, all change. But take a look at some of the Weather Watcher pictures that have come into us today. A great big lump of snow there across parts of the northeast. Really has been cold, hasn't it? And you can see snow on the mountains. If you didn't have the snow today, but you had the cloud, it still felt pretty chilly, didn't it? Let me show you what's happening over the next few days. But first, let me just show you last night's temperature. Minus 12.6 degrees at Tomintoul in Murray. And as I said, temperatures next week back into sort of double digits. So there will be something a good bit milder on the way, but not straight away, because this is what's happening over the next few days. Low pressure with us moving across the country, bringing some showers and rain, and then a northerly, but not the depth of cold that we've seen. And then high pressure starts to work in, and that will bring something a good bit milder. But first thing tomorrow, nowhere near as cold as it was this morning. Temperatures for most above freezing. There will be some cloud and some showers or even longer spells of rain in the east clearing. Towards the west coast and through the Hebrides, showers moving in on westerly winds. And through the course of the day tomorrow, we'll hold on to those showers, 1 or 2 on the heavy side. Many areas, though, dry with increasing amounts of sunshine. And not as cold as it has been, but still below average for the time of year, around about 5 to 8 Celsius. For Sunday, that low pressure still with us, working its way south and eastwards, and that means there'll be outbreaks of rain through parts of southern Scotland and just lifting in towards the central belt at times. Further north, cloudy with a few showers, best of the sunshine in the far north. And temperatures on Sunday around about 5 to 8 Celsius. So despite the sunnier skies towards Inverness, still a little bit cool actually. And next week, well, you can see we've got that high pressure, but also this wedge of something warm moving in as we head through towards Wednesday and Thursday. And that's when we'll see those temperatures really climb. Before we get there, though, this is Monday, and you can see the north wind setting in. Again, not as cold as the north wind that we had this week, but some of the showers still wintry on the high ground. For many, dry and sunny with a few showers of rain. But you can see on the outlook, just take a look at the numbers, the temperature. We're starting next week around about 5 to 8 Celsius, but as we head through towards Wednesday and certainly Thursday, temperatures back up to double digits. That's the forecast for now.
Thanks very much indeed, Christopher. Looking forward to some warmer weather. Well, that's it from us just now, but keep it here on the BBC Scotland channel. We have got Queen's Park versus Ross County coming right up. Don't go away.